Horror in terms of fame compared to prehistoric creatures like dinosaurs, mammoths, or saber-toothed tigers, the giant ground sloth, however, doesn't have to bow down or show deference to these formidable names. This is primarily due to three reasons. First, they did not coexist with dinosaurs. Second, their size rivals or even surpasses that of African elephants. And third, their sharp and formidable claws are as deadly as the saber-toothed tigers. So, are you curious about the giant ground sloth yet? If so, let's explore it together. Long ago, the Amazonian indigenous people used to tell stories about a creature that walked on two legs like humans, had a body covered in fur, and occasionally let out chilling roars. They called them Mapingari, which means the one who guards the ancient forest. The creature in their tales was none other than Megatherium americanum, or the giant ground sloth, a close relative of the tree-dwelling sloth, which still exists to this day. Megatherium is a genus of ground sloths belonging to the Megatheriidae family within the Peloso order. Living in the Pleistocene era, also known as the Ice Age, approximately 2 million years ago, they are referred to as ground sloths to distinguish them from tree-dwelling sloths, as their activities, rest, play, and social interactions all took place on the ground. Another key distinction is that while tree sloths use their claws to climb trees, ground sloths used theirs for digging. In 1930, while searching for remnants of the Mayan civilization, archaeologists stumbled upon over 10,000 tunnels dating back 13,000 years in Brazil and Argentina, which were believed to be the work of this prehistoric mammal. The name Megatherium, derived from Greek, means giant beast. Their name makes it clear that they had a size advantage. These massive creatures could weigh between 5 to 7 tons, on par with the weight of an adult African male elephant. Beneath their fur, they had a sturdy and robust skeletal structure, including an exceptionally large pelvic bone and a robust pelvic girdle. Giant ground sloths had 4 legs but often moved using their hind legs. When standing on their hind legs, their height from head to tail tip could reach up to 6 meters, twice the height of an adult elephant and equivalent to the height of a medium-sized tree. Their method of movement was quite unusual. Much like ants, when they walked, the soles of their feet did not make contact with the ground. Instead, they used the sides of their feet. This was because they lacked the ability to retract their 10 large, sharp claws, unlike their cat-like relatives. With their immense size and superior height, giant ground sloths could easily access food at greater heights. Like most herbivores, they were vegetarians, consuming young, low-lying plants, shrubs, and leaves from various trees such as yucca and agave. Their robust hind legs and large, rigid tail formed a 3-legged support structure, helping them balance their heavy bodies and bear the weight, while their front legs, equipped with long, curved claws, pulled branches close to their mouths for consumption. After that, as everyone knows, the giant sloth used its long tongue to curl and enjoy each delicious leaf one by one, and thus, the grand feast commenced. Through morphological analysis, researchers have concluded that giant ground sloths did not chew their food but instead used their simple teeth to crush their food before swallowing it. Their digestive system allowed them to process fibrous plant material. Digesting a mound of grass or leaves after each meal took several hours, which is why they were often seen resting and lounging around. It's truly fitting for a creature called a sloth. With one powerful swipe, the saber-toothed tiger can take down its prey. As one of the fearsome creatures that once lived on Earth 2 million years ago, giant ground sloths were abundant in sparsely wooded areas and grasslands in South America, primarily in Argentina, Uruguay, and Bolivia. They became an endemic species in these regions. Thanks to their formidable physical attributes, few species dared to challenge them. You see, The principle of judging a book by its cover doesn't only apply to us humans but also extends to various animal species. Moreover, the giant ground sloth had a reputation for being rather gentle. Although they were enormous, they typically moved slowly and leisurely, yet they could be surprisingly swift when necessary. Living alongside the saber-toothed tiger, it was commonly believed that the apex predator of the prehistoric era, giant ground sloths, would be easy prey. However, the reality was quite the opposite. For the saber-toothed tiger, Megatherium was neither a suitable size, being too large, nor an easy meal, being too strong. Take a look at their long, sharp claws on their massive hands. Just one well-placed strike in a vulnerable area would bring down even the ferocious saber-toothed tiger. Some studies have even found evidence indicating that giant ground sloths could lift and toss a prey animal like Glyptodon, which weighed as much as a Volkswagen Beetle. Being both massive and powerful, it's easy to understand why they rarely had natural enemies. Despite being large and powerful, giant ground sloths were not prone to violence or confrontation. If they were not provoked or threatened, they preferred not to engage in aggressive behavior. However, there is a hypothesis that suggests that later, when food resources became scarce, giant ground sloths might have adopted a more carnivorous diet, occasionally actively competing with saber-toothed tigers for prey and resulting in bloody confrontations. Archaeological evidence reveals that the guardians of the ancient forest, in the Amazonian indigenous peoples' belief system, lived in large groups. Adult sloths, when finding a mate and giving birth to offspring, would eventually split into smaller family units. Because they did not need to fear any other species, they primarily foraged during the day. They appeared to have relatively peaceful lives despite the intense struggle for survival among other animals, even right before their eyes. However, the gentle giant sloth couldn't escape the tragic fate shared by saber-toothed tigers and mammoths. They went extinct approximately 8,000 years ago. The emergence of humans is believed to be the fundamental cause of their demise. In 2018, a group of British paleobiologists recreated the hunting chase of giant ground sloths by ancient hunters as follows. A group of hunters would track a sloth or several sloths and surround them outdoors. At 7 locations, a sloth stood up on its hind legs, towering over humans, to avoid an attack. But the chase continued, and humans relentlessly pursued the sloth. The outcome was evident. How could the peaceful sloth, no matter how lovable, escape from the intelligence and cunning traps set by humans? Because they are so endearing, some people still believe that somewhere in the mysterious Amazon rainforests, Megatherium may still exist. Are you a fan of the giant ground sloth? If you have additional information, please don't hesitate to share it with us and those who genuinely appreciate them. Thank you, and see you in another.